All right, what's up, guys? This is Zoo here. I wanted to do a VOD review of Fnatic versus Young Generation. This is the game in groups or the qualifiers, I believe. And I was watching Yamato's VOD review of this game, and I agreed with a lot of the points he said, and it made me really watch over the game a few times. Um, and I developed a lot of similar thoughts of his, but then there was some things that I wanted to expand upon and then some things maybe that he didn't touch up on in the video. Not saying like he doesn't know these things or anything like that, but I feel like this is some good knowledge for people to pick up from this game. Um, and I just wanted to like talk about those things in general, basically just to piggyback off of what he said. I think most of what he says is like on point, and yeah, basically just on point. But I wanted to um, kind of expand upon it. So if we go right into it, we look at the three bands, right? So the way I think how first phase ban should work right now is that you should essentially look to mismatch AD and get like a good AD matchup. Um, Either that or get a S tier support. Um, excuse me. So if you look here, blue side kind of inherently has a ban that's more of a flexible ban because they have first pick advantage. So they use that right off the bat with the Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai is relatively strong right now, but I certainly wouldn't consider him top five. It's more so of a pocket pick for Venus. It's something not pocket, but more so comfort. It's something that Venus and YG in general are really strong at. This happens just from scouting. Um, that's primary. This pick or this ban is primarily on the analysts. That's their doing. So if they ban Rek'Sai, then they ban Kalista. Kalista on red side is really standard. First pick Kalista is really strong. If you've noticed 100% pick ban rate, I personally think, or I personally thought that Kalista was going to be a lot lower on the priority because of that ultimate nerf. But at the same time, like the ultimate nerf doesn't really change how she works as a champion. It just kind of um, makes a certain aspect of her kit a little less frequent. So I think I went about like theory crafting the wrong way with that one. So regardless, Callista ban, then Kog'Maw ban. So this is where you kind of see like the arms race with 80 carries. Um, Kog'Maw ban, and then because Kog'Maw, Lulu, Janna, even Karma, so we saw an LCK. That's a really good 1-2 pick. Really good 1-2 pick. Um, Whoa, my mouse was being weird. Sorry. So they banned the Xayah here. This Jarvan doesn't really make sense to me. To be perfectly honest, I don't necessarily agree with the Jarvan ban. Um, One of the reasons that you pick Jarvan is you want to abuse carries that are immobile. Um, I kind of like I kind of compare uh, immobile carries to like pocket passers in the NFL, people like Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, who are a lot less susceptible of scrambling for carries and scrambling for carry yards. One of the ways to kind of abuse those pocket passers is to rush, or for people who aren't too familiar with football, American football, is to blitz multiple people. So if you ever just go four defensive linemen trying to rush like someone like Peyton Manning or Tom Brady, they're always going to get the pass off and it's always going to work. So if you bring someone like Jarvan, which is equivalent to like a seven-man blitz or a six-man blitz in football, you're going to be a lot more efficient in getting to the quarterback. And the quarterback in this scenario is someone like a Kog'Maw or someone like a Varus or someone like Cassio or someone like uh, I guess Syndra. But the thing is too is the fact that a lot of the S tier mid laners right now can actually kind of counter, not not in kit wise, but they like damage wise, they can counter Jarvan ganks. So someone like Cassio can just like if they ever see Jarvan, just throw down the miasma and then back up. With Syndra, I'm pretty sure you can cancel his EQ combo with stun. I'm not entirely sure on that, but like even if you can't, you throw the Q down on top of on top of the his Jarvan's E where he's gonna land. So you hit him with the Q, you hit him with the stun, and then uh, hit him with the W and combo him, and he's not going to be tanky enough at the early point in the game to really survive that. And then Ori has like her E, and then also the fact too that she can just get out of it with a EW. She can dodge the EQ, or if he like EQ flashes or ults then EQs, like he can or she can just either ult the carry away so there isn't as much damage because all Jarvans are going tank in the jungle, or she can just burst Jarvan if he's not tanky. So I don't necessarily agree with the Jarvan, but also the fact too is that they banned the Kog'Maw. So aside from Varus and maybe Ashe, there aren't really a whole lot of immobile AD carries that like really get punished hard by Jarvan. And I just think Jarvan gets punished pretty hard in the jungle too with things like Nidalee, Elise, Lee Sin, Ezreal, like trying to match up as Jarvan against someone like Ezreal in the jungle in this meta is just insane. It's too difficult, I think. Um, but yeah, I think this is kind of a wasted one. What I would have gotten rid of is probably Galio here. I think Galio has something along the lines of like a 70% win rate at Worlds. Um, and the fact that they're going to have counter pick and that it's a flex. I think getting rid of Galio here is stronger. Or what they could have gotten rid of is Varus here, because Varus is probably fifth best AD carry on this patch. Get rid of Varus here, force them to get rid of the Tristana, and then you could first pick whatchamacallit, Sejuani. You could first pick Sejuani, and then Reckless has a deep champion pool. He could play something like Ashe. He could play something even play the Kennen. Like they're not really a hardcore bot lane priority team anyway, so um, I feel like he has more in his champion pool than Big Kuro does. But those are just my opinions. Okay, so Sejuani ban, Triss first pick. There's that 80 carry arms race coming in hot, and then usually first rotation too. I have watched this game by the way at 2x speed, so I have an idea as to what's going on. But you're gonna see here the Lulu and Gragas. And I think they banned this. I think they banned this because they prioritize the Gragas. Sejuani has a good matchup in a Gragas. Um, but one of the picks you'll see here in a minute, Jesus picks it in second phase. One of the picks I really like into both of these champions that I think is really slept on is Braum. Now Braum as a champion in general isn't slept on, but Braum is a hard counter to Gragas. So if a team is getting rid of Sejuani and prioritizing Gragas, not only is Braum good into range things like Lulu, like casters, Lulu, Karma, um, things like Ezreal Jungle, things like Varus, all that stuff. Like he's good into those, but he's a hard counter into Gragas because if Gragas ever tries to gank this lane, he ease in, just as Q autos, and then gets two autos from the AD, and then while Jesus is stunning him, he can put his shield up, block the ult completely, and he gets stunned with no escape. So Braum into Gragas is incredibly strong. So I like the idea here from YG, but um, I think picking Gragas super early with Braum not being looked at is kinda suspect. Now, Fnatic doesn't execute this very well, so but they had the right idea. Okay, so you're gonna notice here, Elise Syndra. This screams mid lane pressure. Fnatic is a team that Yamato said. Yamato said that Fnatic's really poor around playing around mid lane. I 100% agree. I think Fnatic struggles to play around any lane really. I think they just kind of like get through early and then like play better as a team in mid lane or in mid game. But that's just my opinion. Okay, so Varus pick. Varus pick, like I was saying, Varus is probably fifth best AD carry on this patch. One of the things about Varus that's really good to it is the his build path is so diverse. Um, he can bust tanks, but he can also go with the Wits End and Ginsu's. He benefits off Ardent super well because of his passive too. So he gets passive attack speed for killing units. Um, that in combination with Ardent with something like Blade is incredibly strong. He does super well into tanks, and but he can also shred because of his Witsang Ginsu's build. He can also shred against these like types of pick comps as long as he's not the one getting picked. He can shred squishies as well because of the attack speed and things like Ginsu's. Also, the thing that's probably most slept on with Varus is the fact that he has grievous wounds in his E, so you can always go Lord Dominic's, and you get benefits of both of the pen items in Lord Dom's and Mortal Reminder. So you essentially get both pen items for free. You get about 900, I think it's like 800, 900, I forget exactly what it is, but you get 900 gold worth of free stats on his E. So it's really strong. I like this pick a lot. One of the 80 carries that I'm working with right now in the offseason is Value is a really good Varus player, and he's kind of the one that's like gotten me really hip to this champion. I like it a lot. Okay, so the Thresh ban is essentially just uh, trying to slow down this pick comp that they have. One of the things that I should mention about this pick comp from Fnatic is the fact that pick comps don't really thrive unless you have in mid to late game unless you have pushing lanes. Like the whole way pick comps work is that you push up waves, make the team show, you get the deep vision, and then take a step like one tier back. Like take a step or like one tier step back, make them come to you, and then go for the pick, right? So Tristana does that like almost better than anybody in the current AD meta, I think, because of steroid and the fact that she's an ardent abuser, etc., etc. But LeBlanc, pretty good matchup for Syndra, even though Caps made a case for the Syndra being good into LeBlanc last time these teams met. For anyone that doesn't know, Null solo killed Caps when Null was playing Syndra into Caps LeBlanc, but this matchup is good for LeBlanc, I promise you. Now, Rakan, uh, strong pick overall. Jess is super comfortable on the champion. I personally think Rakan is a little bit overrated. I think he has a lot of counters. People think of the Alistar right off the bat, but at the same time, um, there are other non-meta hitting counters that kind of shit on the champion pretty hard. Um, people who know my drafting will like know what I'm talking about. Um, but Rakan here is a good ban. Like I like this ban from YG. This is a good ban in this situation because you've already showed your support. Now, Shen kind of does two things here. So Shen, obviously, with his ultimate, is going to reduce the chances of reduce the chance of getting kills with the Elise Syndra combo. But it's also the fact too that one of the counters, like a compositional counter to pick comp is a 1-3-1 comp because uh, on like a base level, when you're 1-3-1ing, your three are very careful as to where you're moving. And then also as a 1-3-1 comp in general, you're usually functioning with double TP. And so you're not really moving through the jungle as much. You're moving mostly through lanes. So you have a lot less chance of getting picked. And it's also the fact too that you're gonna have multiple lanes pushing. So the pick comp is really never gonna have like a premier opportunity to set something up without giving something up on the other side of the map, right? So like if they push up topside against a 1-3-1 as a pick comp, they push up topside, they get the ward, they wait for someone to respond top, and then they pick them and kill them. There's already somebody on bot side pushing like their tier 2 or something like that, and then you have the 3 also pushing up as well. So they have to like quickly go and respond to that. So they're not going to be able to get as much off their picks. So getting rid of the Shen also gets rid of um, like a good 1-3-1 champion, right? So it's kind of like a 2-for-1 special. And LeBlanc also is a good 1-3-1 champion as well. So back half of Fnatic's pick ban I think is really great. I think I think what they did here, I think what Dylan did here and what Fnatic's analytical and coaching staff did in the back half of draft is great. Um, Overall, I think how Fnatic drafts, if it was a top four team or if it was anyone besides Fnatic, like a top eight team or something, I think this comp is like almost auto win if you know how to use it, but Fnatic doesn't use it correctly. Um, the Kassadin, it's okay. It's gonna get pushed in super hard. Um, if Fnatic was playing this correctly, they would allow the wave to be even, but it's not. You'll see. And then this is why I said you should have gotten rid of Galio, because if you get rid of Galio here and you get rid of Shen, then there aren't really any other champions in the game that are going to stall or completely like negate the pick comp. Like they're not, you don't have Galio, you don't have Shen. Um, you're not going to be able to negate the pick and the damage potential. Um, you just have to like you're just gonna have to either group or like 1-3-1 with a champion that can't really aid the pick, so something like Gnar or Cho'Gath. Now, if you noticed, the Braum being picked, obviously we talked about that earlier, and then the Cho'Gath is another great champion for pick. This champion doesn't lose lane. It's a low economy champion that has high impact. It can pick, it can siege, it can basically farm on an island. It can go 0-4 and still impact the game. Like this is just a strong champion overall, and it also accelerates the team comp because this also gives Broxah another dimension. Okay, so when I coach, I I make the jungler count his 1, 2, 3s, and what I mean by that is like what his priorities are: rank 1, rank 2, rank 3. So something like this, um, I would ideally want my jungler to communicate his 1, 2, 3s by, like, if my jungler was Broxah, I would say, like, Broxah would say, mid is 1, early levels, top is 2 at level 6, and then bottom is 3 whenever available, when first two don't work. So essentially what that means is he should be camping mid lane or accelerating this matchup early, and then at when shows level 6, go for this. And then if these two things are ever not available and the opportunity presents itself, he can go for this because they do have kill pressure where they ignite. And the fact too that the reason why this is third priority is the fact that they can engage 2v2s. Like Tristana Braum can engage 2v2s really well on their own, and they're pretty self-sustainable lane too in the 2v2, even if they get pushed in. They can clear waves pretty well because of Tristana. They don't get poked down super hard because of Braum Shield. Overall, stylistically, that's what they should go for. Now, all YG wants to do is just survive until they can get into their 1-3-1 phase. The important thing for YG in this game is to make sure that their bot lane, because their bot lane doesn't get punished when they're pushing Fnatic's bot lane in, because their other two lanes are most likely going to get pushed in. The Cho'Gath and the Syndra pushing in the Galio and the Kassadin. So they need to make sure that with one pushing lane that they don't become a priority and they screw it up. You'll see in the game that they do quite the opposite. In a good way, like they don't screw it up. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so 44 standard 5-point. You'll notice here that at 58 seconds, I believe, Fnatic invades to get vision on the Raptors. I always think that getting vision on the Raptors is a good idea. I think this is a really standard move. Ideally, you'd want the red side mid laner to be standing in the middle so that he could potentially get some chip damage, but because it's Kassadin, doesn't really matter all that much. Okay, so they know they're starting Raptors. This is something that already right off the bat, Fnatic's going to do poorly. They know that he's starting Raptors, so he knows the route is going to be 1, 2, and then 3 because he has XP Quint, or 1, 2, and blue. Most likely going to be 1, 2, 3 because of XP Quint. Both junglers are running XP Quints. Now, they know their jungler starts there, so Fnatic knows that YG's bot lane is not leashing. So like this is an incredibly greedy movement by Fnatic, and really disrespectful by moving this way. So they super leash, whatever. They super leash, but they're taking like an incredibly greedy route when they knew that YG's bot lane was not leashing. Just take the long way, bro. Okay, standard. You'll notice against like Elise, Nidalee, Ezreal, like really potent level 2, level 3 junglers, um, junglers that can't match up to their level 2 or level 3 will always take an extra camp before going to their second buff. Stylistically, this is seen a lot in Korea. Say we have the same matchup. So let's go to Rift kit. Um, let's assume that we have the same matchup here. A lot of players, so it's Gragas versus Elise. They would go 1, 2, Wolves, and then blue. Or ward their blue, get wolves, and then go to their blue to make sure that it's not a 1-2 scuttle invade. So like this essentially is just like it's replicated by him going for this scuttle, basically. Because he sees him going here, so he just goes to take scuttle, but also the fact that he is XP quins. Okay, let's keep it moving. Okay, so you see him go for the scuttle. He hits level 3, whatever. YG's bot lane, very smart in the sense of backing off. They're not really giving him any options. Soaz coming down here is nice because he's keeping his weak side strong, weak side of the map strong. Now, he knows that he has pressure bot side, so he knows that Venus most likely is going to either be incredibly passive and just go to wolves, or he's going to go for that scuttle and try to hit 3. So as understanding that he has a low economy matchup, like with the Cho'Gath, he can give up 1 to 2 CS to secure this and stall the jungler. Let's go back, because there's something here that Yamato talked about that I want to talk about too. Okay, so um, we can even move forward here a second or two. Okay, so let's talk about this. Yamato said that he should have gone for these wolves, right? I agree. Like that's like I agree for the reason why he said he should. So the reason he should have gone for these in Yamato's case is that he has uh priority in mid lane. And I agree. Like I 100% agree. Yeah, I 100% agree in that regard. However, another option for this another option for this is him taking this and getting the ward in. So like, or going for pressure mid lane. So if we look at mid lane right now, it's the waves pretty equal in the sense that like Kassadin's not being pushed in a tower. So what I think Broxah should have done is either take this camp and ward so he can see when Gragas is coming down. He doesn't even ward in here, or go for pressure mid lane. Um, I think what Broxah was worried about is the fact that they didn't know that uh, Gragas went to Krugs. I think they thought he recalled and then was going to Wolves. But even then, I don't think that matters. And Yamato points this out with the Raptors as well. And I think this concept carries over to this too. He has both of his adjacent lanes are have priority. Like Syndra can gain priority easily onto Kassadin, and then their bot lane's pushing in. And the fact that their bot lane, both of them can get over the wall and then blast plant to cover, like just makes this priority huge. So even if Gragas shows up, like their bot lane is going to be able to move just as quick, if not quicker, than YG's and be able to collapse, and they're going to have mid lane priority. So I don't I don't really agree with him leaving. Like I said, you either take this and then ward it, or go for the gank mid, right? The lane's even. This is an easy gank. for Elise. I mean, pathing through here and just going for this gank. Yes, I know that he was seen on the ward, but just because he was seen on this ward doesn't mean that like he still has to like Cassidy still has to respect this, if you know what I mean. He still has to respect this. Just because he saw him on the ward doesn't mean he's safe. He still has to respect it and he still has to play accordingly. Just like their bot lane did. Okay, so he doesn't do either of those things, which is kind of shitty, but whatever. Like I said, the wave's still even. It's gonna start pushing now for Syndra, but it's whatever. Like the fact that Cassidy can keep a wave even and then not burn through his mana pool and CS is like absurd. It's totally absurd. See, you see Caps is starting to take priority with it now. Okay, let's move forward a little bit. Caps doing a good job in harassing, but again, like harassment on Cassidy isn't enough. Like neutralizing Kassadin is a two-man job. It's not you don't just get it from poking autos in an AP versus AP matchup. Okay, so right here, there's two ways that Fnatic can go about abusing this Kassadin. When I said it was two-man, it requires jungle and mid or more. It could be mid support, it could be top mid, it could be jungle top and mid, like three-man. Uh, Top jungle, support, mid, four man, whatever combination it may be, right? So these two people, jungle and mid, can go about this two different ways. Just because um, you don't gank a lane doesn't mean that you can't pressure it. And what I mean by this is they can, in this situation, Broxa can give blue to Caps here and then just push relentlessly push Null under tower, which forces him in the Kassadin matchup to miss CS under tower. Or what can happen is Broxa can take blue to hit level 5. I believe he hits level 5 off that. He can hit level 5, get more base stats for a more potent gank, and then have Caps keep the wave even like he had it earlier, and then just gank the Kassadin. One of two things. They did 50% of each, which results in nothing happening. Like the whole point of Elise is casters are going nuts over this. The fucking level 5 to level 3. It doesn't matter. Like that doesn't matter at all. Like Broxa isn't doing anything aside from forcing YG's bot lane to play more under turret for 30 seconds because of this ward. He isn't doing anything that's characteristic of Elise. He's not pressuring any lanes aside from this for like 10, 20 seconds. But you see YG ping, they already knew where it is, and YG's not really going to go initiate a 2v2 all in either. So it's not like they're getting countered in any way. But like this Elise pick, the way that they're playing it right now, like this Elise pick against something like Nidalee or Ezreal that like needs the farm, yes, this counter jungling would have been fine. But against Gragas just needs Cinderhulk and like one other item, and he can just like be a tank. And he's not going to be super tanky. Yeah, it's going to take him a little bit more to ramp up, but like you're not going to win the game because Gragas is a half item down and a level down. Like Gragas doesn't give a shit about that. So like this is the equivalent of like Fnatic like first picking a center in the NBA draft, like a 7'4" center next to Yao Ming or whatever, and then having him only shoot 3-pointers. It's like basically it. But pretty unhappy with the pick so far. Now, what this what can happen with this? Now, granted, this is why I said Caps should take blue because Caps can relentlessly push him under tower. And this may seem like only one person abusing the cast it in, but it's a two-parter because it requires Broxa to give his first blue to allow Caps to accelerate and abuse the matchup, right? So it's a two-parter. Now, something that I do agree with Fnatic with is the fact that by counter jungling these camps that are near mid lane, he can stay mid because Caps is pushing up and he can look for counter ganks. I agree with that, but Elise really shouldn't ever be counter ganking as a primary objective. Like she shouldn't primarily be looking to counter gank. You can counter gank, yes, but you shouldn't be looking at like actively to counter gank. Okay, so one of the things that Yamato touched on that I kind of disagree with is the fact that um, he should have went harder on these Raptors. Yes, he could have because he has mid lane priority, but when you're counter jungling, you don't you can't counter jungle when you only have one lane of priority. You need the adjacent lanes. You need the two lanes that are near you, not just the lane that's closest to you. You need the lanes that are touching the quadrant that you're invading. So in this case, the quadrant he's invading is red on red side. So this is like the quadrant he's going for. So the lanes that are touching are mid and top. So they need mid and top priority for him to comfortably invade. They have mid lane priority. Now it's not as strong of priority because Caps doesn't have blue and he's pushing him in, but they don't have top lane priority. And Galio's a low economy champion that can sack this wave, and he's almost guaranteed going to move because he's high CC, low economy, low farm champion that can move and collapse. That is meant to collapse. Granted, he's not level 6, but the same concept still applies. So I think by him not going for these Raptors, it's fine. Like I think him not going harder for those Raptors is whatever, not a big deal, because of seeing that he doesn't have topside priority. Okay. Something that Zyrene talked a lot about is Reckless's obsession with daggers. Now, I really like Zyrene and I really liked his explanation on it. And I understand why the daggers are being purchased. Like stylistically and like personality wise for Reckless, it's just like how he is as a player. But this also like makes sense. This also makes sense for this team comp too. So if we go in a Rift, okay, so we see that how their bot lane is going to play out mostly is they're most likely going to be pushed in. This you want to ideally, like we are saying, so you either push him in, with blue buff, or you keep it even for ganks and pressure. And then this is going to be uh, relatively even, but this is when you want to look for something at level 6, like jungler 1, 2, 3s. So this one's 1, this was 2, this was 3. So by going more daggers to last hit comfortably under tower, you're accepting your role as like number 3 and playing to tower, right? Like he understands like stylistically that they're going to be pushed in the tower. And if the rest of the comp is played out correctly, then this absolutely makes sense because they'll have the mid lane pressure and then they'll have dive potential at level 6 top or Cho'Gath level 6. But the way Fnatic plays it, this is bad. It's just really bad. Okay. Okay. You can already see that Reckless by early recall is at a disadvantage in levels. Like he's going to be a level down in a moment. Yep, there it is. And that's what you sacrifice from earlier recall. I think something that not a lot of players understand well enough um, is the importance of base stats when you gain a level advantage. Okay, so this is fine. Okay, so if you look at where Broxton moved, he moved through his pink. And he moved to the opposite side of his second buff. Or the second spawning of his buff. So it's kind of a two-parter. You can catch them off guard by going away from your buff, but then also the fact that he went through his pink. And the fact too that this is clearly their win condition is, or one of their early game win conditions is for Broxer to go top at Cho'Gath level 6. Something I talk about here, by the way, I talk about a lot when I coach. I don't want to pause this too many times. If I am, I apologize, but I wanted to make sure that I talk about everything. When you're making a play, there are active and passive parts on the map. So the fact that I'm a little bit confused that I'm a little bit confused that Reckless and Justice are hard pushing the wave right now into YG's tower when Broxa is looking to make a very obvious, very clear play on the opposite side of the map. Now, one of the counterpoint that I have like to my own criticism is the fact that they're pushing him in so he can get another recall, but he's also pushing him in so he can potentially prevent YG from recalling and then early swapping so that this dive can happen. Okay, whatever, whatever. Cocoon here kind of had to happen because he needs to be able to stop the recall from something that's out of tower distance. Like the spider, I don't think would have gotten there in time. So as hitting the tower here is number one mistake. So there's two big mistakes in this, right? So the fact that they're going for a dive and so as hit the tower is just pointless anyway. That's a wasted auto, right? He also takes aggro off that, so that's like another mistake because of the auto. But the core concept is he shouldn't be hitting the tower when he's executing for a dive. He should be getting an optimal position to execute the dive. Also, the fact too that even if Broxa or even if Soaz didn't auto the tower, Broxa needs to auto Galio first. You can always like with Elise, you can cancel your auto attack animations in like multiple different ways. You can auto Q because the way she throws her auto, like it's a very fluid movement, but she releases the projectile very early. So like you can auto with like 25% of your auto animation and then human Q and then go into spider. And like you can cancel it in like I think one or two more ways besides that too. But he should auto here. Like should always auto as Elise to initiate. Because also the fact too that Elise's animations with uh, autos, her human Q, human W, and cocoon, um, all are relatively the same. So you can always, you not always, but a lot of times you can bait out the other person's flash just by using the animation. Okay, there's my little rant on Elise. Okay, so as great job on getting everything off, but it's whatever. Broxa repelling here kind of doesn't really make any sense. He actually gets damaged more because of the fermenting. Okay, so this makes sense in one way and then doesn't make sense in another way. This 2v2 all in bot. So you notice that they start going all in 2v2 is when they see Gragas respawn top. You don't want to go for an aggressive play on the other side of the map when your jungler is showing on the opposite side of the map. But because their jungler also showed, this essentially allows them to go in. Where it doesn't make sense is the fact that Reckless is down a full level and they don't have Thunderlords. Makes no sense. I just I don't like that. I don't like this at all. Like he's down a level. YG has Thunderlords, and the fact that Varus has percentage HP damage. Why do you fight this early? Okay, so yes, Justice messed it up because he cancels an auto when he flashes. Yamato points this out. I missed this the first time. I looked at this, but he's absolutely correct. Misses the auto right there. So maybe that would have been potential kill. But I don't know. Yamato also points out that Reckless could have healed to get the auto right here. But again, just poor execution. Like, this triple dagger is meant to stay under tower. They execute, granted, it was a bad execution, but they made this happen. They don't need to make this bot side happen, but they do it anyway, and they fuck up the execution. So I think in this instance, it's the wrong idea and wrong setup and wrong execution. I think it's just everything was wrong about that play. If you've noticed too, the window for Elise to do anything is basically over now. Like, this was supposed to be the second thing that happened, and it was the first. They didn't go for a single pressure attempt mid lane. Now, I'm not saying ganks because ganks isn't what you have to go for. Like, you can, Elise can even just show in lane because something that's really important with jungling is first show, and Gragas already showed level 2. So first show doesn't really matter, and Elise needs to show to have like to actually make an impact. Elise is one of those few junglers where first showing is not a bad thing. Um, like she needs to show. You can even just show mid level 4 like human W, human Q auto, chunk him for 150, 200 HP and make him just back off the wave so Caps can reposition the wave. That's pressure. You don't need to gank. You don't need to get a kill or blow summoners or anything. You just need to change the status of the lane. And that's equivalent to pressure. So the fact that like they didn't even as a two-man combo, they didn't even gank the lane, but like they didn't even pressure it. It was just Caps pushing in a tower, but they didn't even push in a tower correctly because he didn't hand first blue. And they valued a level and a half lead on Elise over Gragas instead of actually abusing the matchup correctly. Okay, replay that, whatever. Interesting that Reckless didn't use the heal movement speed to sidestep. Arrow's significantly harder to hit with the heal movement speed. Once you see him charging it up, you can just heal and then start moving left, right. If SKT's playing the comp on the left, Cassinon's already died 3 times, by the way. Blanker Peanut has 4 KP at 9 minutes with this composition. 1 kill top and 3 in mid. Okay, nothing's happening, nothing's happening. Mid laners, don't please stop putting your wards in these brushes. They're pointless. Just put them out in river. I don't know why I said that, but too many mid laners put their wards in brushes. It's pointless. Okay, so basically, I mean, like, basically how the game plays out now is the fact that, like, YG, like, their 1-3-1 is basically going to come online now. Unless Elise magically gets some sort of kill mid with Cassidon having blue, having flash, and having ult. I don't see Caps and Broxa being able to do anything about this Cassidon. Now, granted, he gets the flash right there, but I mean, it's like I think Broxa was just at the right place at the right time, or like conveniently at the right place at the right time. I don't think that was planned. Okay, so Broxa just like essentially the fact that Broxa having to go bottom to delay this tower being taken because like Reckless Jess's fucked up 2v2 and Fnatic as a team didn't understand where their priorities were, is like makes this Elise pick just like pointless. Just pick Maokai, like just pick Maokai or something here, just like something different if you're gonna prioritize this way. Okay, let's go back. This is like the homie from Gambit that did this shit. Okay, so both recall. For some reason, Reckless stays while they have sight of him. I don't know. That is just that's an interesting one. Doesn't make any sense. What Fnatic could do right now, if they wanted to kind of like delay this bleeding, is they could have Soaz push in and then look to uh, try to get a pink, try to get a pink in YG's topside jungle, and then move through there and potentially look for a 3-man. But like, game's already over at this point. The 1-3-1s come online when like so Gragas doesn't have to fear for his bot lane being the only pushing lane because they're already winning the 2v2 by themselves. Like he can literally just go mid, shell on the map. Top lane's never gonna 1v1 kill each other. He can go to the most volatile lane that should be behind, which is really ahead because of the way the champions scale. Like he just gets to go to the most volatile lane and like turn it around just by showing up in the lane and helping Cassidy push in. It's insane. Okay, whatever. Oh, okay. So one of the things I did want to point out here, by the way. Okay, so apologies. Kind of tired. But one of the things that should happen here, so Reckless is dead, right? This tower is going to go down. Reckless just needs to start going top now. Okay, so I'm going to explain this one because this rotation's kind of important. Okay, so jungler is over here. Top lane's even. Reckless is dead. Or rather, respawning. Okay, so let's look at this. This tower is going to go down. I was saying earlier that one of the plays that could happen is if they use Cho'Gath with Flash against a flashless Kassadin, so Cho'Gath, Syndra, Elise, they could just brute force 3-man this. Like, just absolute brute force 3-man this. So what they can do is, because he's dead, this tower's going down. The fact that Reckless went down here and then had to turn around is kind of ridiculous. You need to develop the foresight to understand that that tower is going down, and whenever a tier 1 bot goes down and it's not an Infernal Drake or an S tier dragon for your composition, like i.e. an Ocean Drake for like a 4-man poke comp, you need to be able to initiate swap. So what Reckless should have done is from his death, he should have gone top side and then helped the Cho'Gath push in the Galio. Okay, so they both push up, right? They push up, they push up. Then they can either siege or what happens in the WE games. I forget exactly what game it is, but I made a note of it. When their top laner swaps, instead of recalling, he walks through mid. Like he walks behind mid. So in the example I saw, he was red side, so he went through here. He went through like here and then hugged right out of vision and went down. What in this instance, because he's blue side, he could just go here, hug river, and come through here, or not even through there, sorry, through here, and hug outside of vision, and then walk down. And you could potentially, because this is pushing in, because that's pushing in, he could potentially look for this brute force play, the 3-man with the Cassin in here, with the Cho'Gath, Syndra, Elise. Like, instead of having the TP, like, you have the Tristana here. So they sack, what they should have done is they should have sacked this tower, uh, Jesus should have started his just backed off and started his recall, and then from base, like from death upon revival, Reckless should have gone top and just like initiated the swap. Because even if Cho'Gath doesn't get this movement here, he still can get control of River, which is the whole primary point of swapping is swapping lanes. You can dodge stronger lanes if you initiate the swap, but you can also like the main goal is to like get Herald and to stall. But that's absolutely what they should have done. 100%. I don't really think that was something that was touched up on. Whatever, replay. Okay. Like something that really bothered me is when I was talking to other people about this VOD, they were like, "Oh, well like Caps is still like 15 CS up in lane. He's winning lane. He's losing lane because his champion is supposed to win harder than that." Like you need to understand how the anatomy of the composition plays out early, mid, and late, right? It's just like it's like runners. Like a it's like runners. A 100-meter sprinter is going to be better in 100-meter distances than someone who's a marathon runner, but a marathon runner is better at marathons than the 100-meter sprinter. It's the same thing with Syndra Cassidy, basically. Like Syndra needs to be able to accelerate her 100-meter advantage, whereas Cassidy is playing for the marathon. But in this instance, Fnatic is also running a marathon too. They're just like playing passive, which I don't really understand. So you'll see here that he didn't even turn around. Tristana didn't even turn around. He went bottom for some reason. I don't understand. This is just poor macro. But um, like pick comps don't really make uh Ocean Drake an S tier champion or S tier dragon rather. And good luck trying to gang or dive a Galio that has components of items. Already has what is that 2000 HP. Yeah, try to do that with Berserker Greaves. Yeah, do that with Berserker Greaves Tristana and Mobility Boot Elise. It's really gonna work. See, if their bot lane just swapped already, they wouldn't lose this tower. So not only did they get beat in the 2v2, but they also had the opportunity to win swap and they lost swap. And the fact too that out of these two neutrals, you want to look to mismatch your neutrals. Out of these two neutrals, Herald is significantly better than Ocean Drake for their composition. This aids them in pushing up waves so that they can get deep vision and go for picks, and they're opting to stay bot side. Makes no sense. I personally think that even hypothetically, if they trade 2 towers for 2 towers here, like if Fnatic gets bot side tier 2, I 100% think that trading along top side, trading the towers top side is more beneficial than bot side, unless it's Infernal Dragon spam. Because you have more priorities, you have more priority around the neutral objective, Herald and Baron. Last thing I'll talk about with this swap too is the fact that when you okay, so when you lose this tower and this tower, whoa, you lose this tower and this tower. Your movement, your like comfortable movement becomes like that. Like this is where you can like comfortably move around here. The other team is just going to push up. They're going to get vision here. They're going to get vision here. They're going to get vision here, 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 etc. They're going to get all this vision. And then what happens next? Where's the next play? Boom, big guy, right fucking here. Into the matchup that you should be accelerating in the opposite direction. So by not swapping two is they're also allowing pinch opportunities. I like to call pinch when you push in sides and then collapse middle. They're allowing for the pinch to happen too. Not sure if it happens, honestly, but uh, can happen. Okay, they get Herald, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they get Herald here. Okay, fast forward, fast forward, fast forward, fast forward. Okay, so not only did they not swap, but they also didn't get they didn't get a dragon either. Okay, so look at this. So this is something where they're mismatching their neutrals. This is a concept that I like to coach a lot. So they took Herald, they put their strong side of the map. So at this point, Kassadin is a strong side of the map. It's a strong component because it kept even in the early game. Oh, it's 30 CS down. It's not even. It's bullshit. It's absolutely even because of the way the champion plays out. This champion should be 0-3 with 90 CS right now, but he's not. So he's ahead because of how the champion's going to play out and the fact that they're splitting the map. This is the 1-3-1 we talked about. Now, what's a core component of fucking up a 1-3-1 is when one of your uh, three components goes too aggressive before the others are ready. So you don't see anyone on the map. He doesn't see anyone on the map, and he's moving forward further than his whole team. So that's a mistake on his end. 1-3-1, you want to keep everything even and move forward as a group. As a group, like not the group of three, but all five people in general need to move the map forward. Okay. And this is just gonna wave clear forever. I like Kassadin going on the bot side here by YG instead of going mid because like I was saying, Kassadin's a strong side of the map now, but also so is their bot lane. But their bot lane is going to be able to protect the mid wave more and also push mid tower, which is the last tower. So I really like this lane assignment a lot. Even though Galio's not going to be able to ult the Kassadin, I like this a lot. Okay, let's go back and look at that. Just stand back here, Brody. Doesn't really matter either, but they're going to get the kill anyway. Do they get tower here? I forget if they get tower here, but they don't have any response to 1-3-1. They have to put Tristana in the side lane. The Tristana's behind. You know what? If the Tristana had a BF sword in this instance and maybe two less deaths that were completely preventable and 30, 40 more CS, then yes, the Tristana can absolutely. The Tristana would have had red buff too because she would have been deserving of red buff, and then she would have absolutely been able to 1-3-1 against Kassadin, but she can't in this regard. So you can see the Kassadin is moving first. Like they get to pincer. This is the pincer in action. Look where their vision is. Is exactly what I was saying earlier. Their vision is here, is here. It's in the first tiers of movement right here. And he can move here before Tristana can. He's abusing this movement right here. They're pincering. Like if you gave this an extra 10, 20 seconds too, Galio would probably start moving as well. And that's just stupid. But I don't know. That's like that was really silly from YG. I really don't know how to explain that one. There's actually no point in doing that. You don't see any like you don't see Trist on the map. Literally, if you want to become twice as good of a player as you are now, before you do anything drastic, just literally count how many people are on the map and think of when you last saw them. Oh, Tristana's not here. So Like Tristana's not here, and she was shown bot, so she's probably moving through bot side jungle. I've been here for one hot minute at least, so she's probably collapsing on me. This just a poor execution from YG. But they have the right idea. They're pincering, the right idea, right setup in the fact that their vision was correct. YG didn't push, Null didn't push bot lane hard enough, so I think it was maybe a half of a complete setup, but the execution was just bad. Okay, move forward, move forward. They stop the siege, they're going to go back. Essentially, whenever you reinitiate a 1-3-1, whatever, I don't really care about replay. Whenever you initiate or reset up a 1-3-1, you always want to make sure that the waves are even, or that if a wave is not synced, you want to make sure that that wave or the champion that's responsible for not syncing the wave is moving accordingly. So you're gonna see like their their mid is further ahead, but that's also because Fnatic, like in terms of wave movement, their mid is further ahead, but that's also because Fnatic's moving and they're able to comfortably take mid lane now because Fnatic went for the movement. So like YG, even though they were on the back foot on that play, like they correctly initiated like their 1-3-1 because they identified that their mid lane was pushing. They had advantage in that, and then as soon as they saw someone else on the other side of the map, they used their desynced wave to create an advantage. So just like the overall takeaway, I know that was a lot of like word vomit, but the ultimate takeaway is if you're in a 1-3-1 and your waves are in sync, you want to do something with the wave that's ahead. You can either move or you just have them back off and then go to other waves, or you can have the ones that are behind look to pinch or something, or literally do anything. But in a 1-3-1, desyncing waves is super suboptimal, so you just want to do something off of it, which they did. They took two towers mid. Okay. Yeah, realistically, Braum shouldn't even be here. Um, Braum shouldn't even be here, but he needs to be here to regain levels, and also the fact too that Reckless has not been playing the best this game, so he needs to actually go and protect him, which is kind of silly considering the whole point of Tristana, aside from the fact that she's an S tier champion in like almost every field of AD carry play, but like the thing that makes her stronger than like the other ADs is the fact that she's self-sufficient in side lanes, and it's gotten to the point where like he's not being self-sufficient in the side lane with Tristana against a non S tier AD carry, which is really scary. Really scary as a team, which is why, like I said at the beginning of the video, I think this was Fnatic's game to lose. Like YG, like is successful in this game because they were able to capitalize off of Fnatic playing really badly and not understanding certain concepts. So like this is a blunder. Okay, so this is the blunder by the first big blunder by YG. Besides the mid lane shit, I don't really care about that. That's just bad execution. That's not going to that's not going to happen 90 times out of 100. But like there's no point in having casted mid lane here. He has TP. Why is Varus in the side lane? They already were successful in the fact that they put their bot lane mid earlier, and you don't need to fix what's not broken. Just put your bot lane back. They lose the tower because of it. You don't gain anything extra. Varus has to back off because he's an 80 carry Varus against a pick comp in a long lane. It makes no sense. Okay, so the waves are relatively synced if you look at them. Mid lane is kind of ahead, So they're using that to like at least move into the jungle. This is them making something happen or doing something, not just sitting on the wave. That's them doing something is getting vision in blue side with the wave that's being pushed up. And then you saw Galio moving too. Now Galio moving's fine, but it's also going to desync the waves a little bit more. So like you can see right here, it's like mid is drastically further ahead. So their 131 isn't doing too hot right now. Okay, keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. Wet noodle fight, fun champions. Don't understand Cassidy moving here. Cassidy just needs to go top. Ooh. The hell was this? I don't remember watching this. When they get that ward down? Must have been before he recalled. Holy cow. Okay. Everyone and their mother knows when you take a tower or an inhib or anything, you put a ward down so you can see their rotations through lanes. But holy cow, was that a good ward by YG right there. Varus, I'm pretty sure, put that ward down, knowing that he was going to go collect the wave. God damn, that's a good ward. But setup is pretty terrible, or the execution's pretty terrible. Okay, so this is where I don't want to harp on the same concept too much. I know I kind of struggle with that, and I apologize, but this wave, their mid wave is not synced with the rest of their waves. Their mid wave's not synced with the rest of their waves, and Kassadin's not in the right position. So like Kassadin isn't moving correctly, he's not in the right lane, and he's really just like in the wrong place in a macro and micro point. Like this should be easy kill on Trist. Easy kill. But they have to divert their attention to Kassadin. There's no way YG actively practices Kassadin because there's way too many micro mistakes. Blanc is definitely their go-to 131. I've never watched a game of YG before Worlds, and I can guarantee that they actively practice LeBlanc. Your boy Reckless at it again. Yo, look at Pallet, by the way. His micro. Pop. Cancels the jump. It's really good. Okay, so this is a core thing too, by the way. So there's really no reason for a Fnatic to like hardcore move up into this choke point because they have priority. Like they have priority on top side with the wave. So in order to successfully bait Baron, you need adjacent lane priority. Okay, so let's look at this. They could literally put anybody. They could literally put anybody up top. I'm trying to think who. I guess Syndra. No, because Syndra collects midwave, actually. I don't really know about that thought, actually. But regardless, I don't think they need to walk through this choke that much because eventually, like, they have vision of them, but then also the fact, too, that eventually that top wave's going to crash. Someone's going to have to respond. Oh, I remember why I had originally written that thought down is because I remember that Soas TPs. I just forgot that he TPs mid. He should have just TP'd here. If he's going to use TP right here and walk down and force them to back off. Like, essentially what you want to do with neutrals is if the other team is baiting, you want to abuse the fact that they're all in one position and you want to essentially get into like get into a chicken scenario where they have to either burn Baron or you take their towers. So like if he TPs topside, he can either pinch and force them off the Baron because he's Cho'Gath and he has flank, or if they're still dancing around it, he just takes topside for free. I think making I think that TP is just really subpar. Yeah, and then they face check. Again, Kassadin not used very well in this fight. No way they practice Kassadin. Yeah, not yeah. I don't know. This Kassadin's not too hot. Pretty disappointed to be honest. He tried flashing forward for damage on caps, but I don't know about that one, bro. You have a mana you have a mana advantage, just take that slow. I mean, they win the fight anyway, but okay. Kill Broxa. So like I don't know if you noticed in what condition they win this fight, but they win this fight pretty convincingly. Imagine if this wave for YG is right here. Imagine if they cleared it correctly with correct lane assignments and Cassidy was up here instead, they clear that shit right there. They could just take Baron for free. They don't need to TP to clear the wave. And then you would have had two crashing waves on side lanes going for Baron. Yikes. Yikes, bro. Okay, so they just get Baron off mana advantage. It's whatever. Showing the replay. Replay super necessary. Okay, so also the fact that YG had the pushing or the crashing bot lane. Okay, let's look at this. Holy cow, how long was that replay, bro? Soaz didn't set up the bot wave either correctly before he recalled and TP'd mid. So kind of a suboptimal TP mid, but then also suboptimal wave execution too. So they get the dragon off that because they have a crashing wave and the fact that they have Baron. Like they have Baron with the crashing wave too. So this is free tier 2. Free tier 2. YG definitely has superior knowledge on how to control waves compared to Fnatic, which is really concerning considering Fnatic's stature and reputation. Okay, let's add another dimension to this as well. Let's add another dimension to this. If this if this didn't stack earlier, so if Cassidy controlled this wave correctly, he wouldn't have had to TP to go clear this wave. The wave would have already been pushing. He could have TP'd up here or just walked, and then the wave would have been crashing into topside, and then they could actually execute their 1-3-1 properly. Um, they could actually execute their 1-3-1 properly. And even if he had TP, he could always TP bot and create the 4-1. But like the fact that this wave, like the fact that on both ends, this top side of the map over the past 3 minutes was horribly set up. But like the fact that this isn't happening and the fact that Kassadin without Lichbane is trying to 4-1 is pretty suboptimal. Because who's gonna respond to Kassadin in a 1-3 in an effective 1-1-3 with Baron? Nobody. He'll just go kill Trist. He'll kill Trist. Uh, kill Syndra. Yeah, there's just not a chance. Merc treads against the Elise. Okay, pushing in, pushing in, pushing in. The SpongeBob shit, you're good, you're good, you're good. Okay, so something else I kind of wanted to touch up on too. Look at this. I apologize because it's in full screen. Yeah, shit, you can't really see. But that's so bad. You can't really see. I'm sorry, but Gragas is going to catch the wave to accelerate it, and Galio does not. These waves are so mistimed. The fact that Soas has time to walk down to contest this bot wave when nothing is being pushed mid is really concerning for YG. So like I said about 2 minutes ago, YG has superior wave control to Fnatic, but YG's wave control is far from good, which makes Fnatic's lower than far from good, which you can do the math. It's pretty bad. Okay, okay, okay. We're good, we're good, you're good. Break base. Whatever, whatever. All of this is happening because Kassadin mismanaged top and he doesn't have TP, and the fact that mid and bot wave are desynced. Okay, crashing wave topside. Now Kassadin's starting to finally put the pieces together. They're still not syncing their waves correctly. With Baron, don't get me wrong, like Baron is really hard to sync waves because of the extra movement speed, but it can be done. That's why there are good teams and that's why there are bad teams. But like, look at the wave right now. Soaz can totally move. He could TP, he could walk, he could do all that shit. Move forward. God, this VOD is probably so long. I apologize. Okay. All these fights just happen because they have windows to fight because the waves are in sync correctly. You're gonna hate me for saying it 100 times, but it is absolutely true. Okay. TP behind. All of the fact that Soaz was able to TP is because is because they're mismatched. He gives them opportunities to do so. Goodness gracious. He's tilted. Look at Paul. Tilterino. Okay. Breaking base is one of the more difficult concepts for teams at every level. That includes Challenger, LCS, uh, emerging regions, all that stuff. It's a really, really hard thing to perfect. Okay. Ocean Drake, not really the biggest deal in the world. They have Kassadin with the TP. I mean, like their lane assignments are correct in this instance. Pretty unnecessary ult. Actually, really unnecessary because you want that for the disengage, and there's no way Galio's gonna die in that instance. Galio's so goddamn far ahead. This is bold. I appreciate Fnatic going for this. I really do. I appreciate Fnatic going for this. And this is their veteranship showing. But you know what? They fucked up too much other shit. Yeah, so they get the backdoor, whatever. It's not really much of a backdoor, but haha, cast in backdooring Fnatic. That's a good one. Um, yeah. Okay, so let's look over some of the points. They didn't play their composition correctly in the first 7 levels, and then they just lose. They didn't swap correctly. Reckless didn't use Tristana to its full potential. The Elise was incredibly suboptimal. Um, and this is kind of where like this is where you look at the coaching staff, right? Like you look at the coaching staff and you You look at just the team in general, because if Dylan Falco is able to draft as well as he did in that situation, aside from the Jarvin ban, which I thought was pretty bad, if he's able to draft like that and then not have them understand what the composition does, that means that they just don't understand things at a fundamental level. That means most likely that means that they go too much into the nitty gritty in practice and they don't revisit core concepts as much. They don't revisit their fundamentals. I know I sound like an LS broken record, but like it's really important to like understand why for everything. Something Herman taught me is just say why. Always make everybody explain everything in depth. Just ask why. But those are basically just my points of view of the game. I hope you learned a thing or two. If you have any comments or criticism, feel free to like DM me or just comment on the video or anything like that. Um, I'm totally down to hear any criticism that you may have, whether you like it or hate it. If you like it, great. If not, if you don't like it, that's whatever too, man. Like I don't want everyone to just agree with me. That's the whole point. I'm putting my thoughts out here so that people can agree or disagree or give me their point of view too. I want to stir up conversation. I don't want to this to just be a yes man thing. That's the whole point of me doing this. Putting my thoughts out there is to generate discussion and to show my point of view. But I hope you appreciate the video, and I'm going to be putting out some more of these during Worlds. I'm Yamato said that he's going to do every single game, but I'm certainly not capable of that. That guy is a workhorse in that regard. But I'm certainly going to try to do maybe like 15 to 20 games of Worlds coverage. Um, Kind of like balanced out throughout the stages too. I'm not just going to like abuse groups and then just not talk about semis or quarters or finals or anything. I'm just going to kind of do it consistently throughout. But keep an eye out for that. Follow me on Twitter at IamZoo, 2 underscores, 3 words. Um, and that's about it. Thanks for watching, and I hope you learned a thing or two.